Afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting. The volume's still on. Yeah, now we have called this meeting in order. Go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Director McCullough,
Yes.
Director McMillan,
Here.
Director Robert,
Here.
Director Platy, Director Beal.
Here.
And Director McMillan, this is District Council. Just want to confirm that you're going to be utilizing the just cause exemption for teleconferencing this evening.
Yes, I'm sorry.
The fact that you're traveling on business for the Calleguas Municipal Water District Board, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you can all please stand and place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving on to item 2, public comments. This portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, the board of directors may be unable to respond at this time or until the specific topic is placed on the agenda at a future board meeting. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, please limit remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any members of the public?
We have no members of the public in person. There are some members of the public online. If any of the online participants would like to make public comment, please use the raise hand feature at this time and we will call on you and unmute you so you can make public comment. There are no raised hands.
Okay, first item is presentations. Presentation for quick action.
Yes, so this is our second ever a presentation of award for quick action. One was presented a couple months ago in front of the board to Nick Thompson. And tonight, Omar Castro, our manager of operations and maintenance, will be presenting this award to Amy Mueller, our regulatory compliance supervisor.
Thank you. I didn't tell Amy why I wanted you here.
Oh.
That's out of the bag. All right. Good evening, members of the board. Well, tonight I am honored to stand before you and recognize one of our staff members for her quick action, innovative thinking, and of course, tenacity. From January 3rd to 5th, the district began receiving notifications of warning relating to the high wind event and possible power outages for the weeks to come. On Monday, January 6th, staff began preparing for the sequencing and preparing to switch over from Edison Power to our backup generators. Now on Tuesday, January 7th, we received notice from Southern California Edison of a PSP, which is our power outage, that would be coming sometime that day. Now, we didn't really have a window of when it was going to happen. It could happen in an hour, 30 minutes, or 6 hours. We just didn't know. Now, hearing the concerns from staff relating to the loss of power and potential devastating impacts it could have on the district's ability to produce water from the Lake Bar treatment plant, our wells, during this power switchover. This was further compounded by the Metropolitan Water District maintenance shutdown. Amy Mueller, our district regulatory supervisor, sprang into quick action, seeking approval from the Air Pollution Control District to switch over from emergency generators from Edison Power to our emergency generators before the declaration of an emergency or before the loss of Edison Power. This is not part of what what the APC allows because it's not in their purview and it's not identified as an emergency. But Amy sprang into action. Her letter was detailed on the events that were taking place, how we were operating, but also the impacts it would have on all of our purveyors and water quality should we lose power and our plant go down. So tonight, on behalf of the Calleguas Water District, I'm honored to present Amy with the Aqua Award for quick action. And Amy, if you'll come up. Surprise.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to receive this. Thank you.
Picture with the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone.
Usually like to take pictures, so this is quite.
This isn't for me.
I know, you're
That's only gonna last once. Now all the options can be like.
Where should I stand? Right here? Okay.
You'll have to Photoshop in Director McMillan.
Okay, we can do
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good job.
Appreciate your.
Okay, item 4, items to be added to the agenda. Do we have any item?
No items to be added.
Okay, moving on to item 5, the consent calendar. Would anybody like to pull anything out of the consent calendar?
I have a comment or question on item 5D. I'm sorry, 5E. It's about the increase in Falcon Fill contract amount. My question is simple. What is the shelf life for the diesel fuel? How long does it stay?
So it depends on the size and type of tank that you have, temperature. But some of our generator fuel will last and we transfer it around 6 months to a year. And then in other places, we have a scrubber, which conditions the fuel and we can circulate that and it will last a lot longer.
Thank you.
I just have one question on the Chandler thing. On the summary that Chandler gave us, it says EC plus E47 ononomic. Is that a term for SEP?
Where is that?
It's on the Chandler report, economic update. First page of it.
I'm not familiar with it, but I can get back with you.
Good. There are no further questions. I'm looking for a motion.
I make a motion.
Second, consent calendar.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Kala,
Yes.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Robert,
Yes.
Director Quady,
Aye.
Director Leo.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to item 6, reports. General manager and staff reports. Item 1, emergency preparedness and response to recent wildfire events, power outages, and wildfires. Omar Castro, manager of operations and maintenance, Daniel Cullen, and Charlotte.
Yes, and the board may note that usually action items comes immediately after the consent calendar, but I flipped them this meeting because I really wanted to make sure that we got to this item and gave it the attention that it deserves. I'm sure the board is aware that this has been an extraordinarily challenging January for Southern California in light of the dangerous wind conditions, very dry conditions, and wildfires that have broken out all over the place. But the board may not be aware of just how challenging it has been for us. And I want to highlight some of the amazing work that's been done. Omar talked about it a little bit in presenting Amy with her Aqua Award, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that you may realize. And this will include a up to the minute update on the Hughes fire and its impact, considering its proximity to Castaic Lake. So Omar is going to start us off.
All right, so tonight I'll be partnering with Daniel Cohen, Emergency Response Coordinator, and Charlotte Holyfield, our Manager of External Affairs, to update you on our emergency preparedness to the recent wind events, power outages, wildfires. Now, under normal operations, we receive our water from Metropolitan Water District, our Lake Bard water filtration plant, and our well field is offline. And we manage our reservoirs at levels where we can circulate water and have turnover. So we can manage the water quality. And of course, our water system is operated off Southern California Edison Power. Metropolitan notified us that they were going to have a shutdown for maintenance. It was not a routine schedule. It was more of an urgent need as they identified corrosion in a 75-inch raw water line that feeds their Jensen plant. And see if I can remove this, Daniel. So in preparation for the Met shutdown, Calleguas staff began to operate our Lake Bard water filtration plant in a circulation mode. And what that is moving water through the filters and you're circulating it back into the lake. And we have to do that to condition the filters and fluidize and condition the filters prior to them starting. And that usually takes about 2 weeks to get that up and running. All right, available resources during the Metropolitan shutdown. We had our Lake Bard water filtration plant, our Las Posas well field, and we had a supplemental water from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Something to note, that is not a large volume of water that we receive. To give you a scale, we could receive up to 200 CFS from Metropolitan, but through this feed from LADWP, it was only about 40 CFS that we can receive. And of course, we were not receiving any water from Metropolitan due to their shutdown. So operating modifications that we had to take care of was the Lake Bard plant and the well fields, make sure that they were up and running to be able to continue to supply water to our purveyors. Our power demands increase as the plant starts running and more pumps start running. We had to do additional pumping required from the well fields to produce water and pumps through Granson Pump Station, which is the direct feed into Simi Valley. And as we all, we appreciate, but we don't say it enough, how much staff time it takes, coordination to be able to run these plants because we are spread out so far.
Yeah. Good evening, directors. I'm Daniel Cohen, Emergency Response Coordinator. I'll be touching on a little background on public safety power shutoffs and specifics regarding this event. So public safety power shutoffs are nothing new to us. We've been dealing with them for years. And to provide a little context, this is a map from the Ventura County Sheriff's Emergency Services dashboard of circuits that were being monitored or de-energized during this most recent event. I'll have a more zoomed in picture of this later on to show the granularity of it. But there are dozens of circuits in Ventura County that were under consideration for de-energization during this event. It's something that we monitor regularly. We receive coordination from Edison, and then we prepare accordingly. So with this event, Southern California Edison issued their notifications regarding the potential for upcoming public safety power shutoffs on January 3rd. We initially received notification of only one circuit under consideration. That skyrocketed by Sunday night, January 5th. We had 68 district accounts that were under consideration on 27 different Edison circuits. This map is kind of an overlay of the Edison's public safety partner portal. It shows how many circuits overlap, how many there are in the region, and a unique event for us in January. This is the first one that's occurred since 2021. So here's a more zoomed in photo of that Ventura County Sheriff's Emergency Services circuit map. So you can really see the how localized circuits are. There's not really a rhyme or reason to how they're designed or how they were implemented. So the red circuits, the red lines, those are circuits that have been de-energized. The green circuits are those that have been re-energized. The blue circuits are being monitored, And then you can see a small portion of an orange circuit on the right. That's a circuit that would be under imminent de-energization. So as you can see, it's very localized. There's a lot of variability. With Edison notifications, they're not always entirely reliable. They're not always entirely accurate. So if you do receive an imminent de-energization notification, it still may take a few hours to do it, or the de-energization may have already happened. And we found that to be the case during this event. And lastly, you might hear stories about people saying, why is my power off? I see power at my neighbor's house across the street. You can see why on this map right here. Circuits are really piecemeal. They're a lot of variability, and that's something that we have to deal with during these types of events. So on Sunday, the 5th, the National Weather Service, in accordance with Edison notifications coming through, they issued a extreme fire weather warning and a particularly dangerous situation designation from the afternoon on January 7th until the morning on January 8th. This signals more extreme conditions, extreme dryness, extreme winds, and very low humidities. So they started issuing this designation in 2020. They didn't issue another one until this past November. And since this past November, there have been 5 PDS designations issued. I'm just showing how severe the most recent events have been. And that's what we were dealing with as we entered this event. Pass it back to Omar.
Here. All right, so operational planning and the actions necessary for successful results. We had internal meetings and we increased our coordination with all divisions, all hands on deck, made sure we had the available resources to address any urgent needs. We began having tabletop discussions to address what was going to happen with the PSP, how we're going to operate, how we would ensure that we would not lose our ability to continue to produce water, and then identify any issues that could come up along the way as we made that transition. We came up with an action plan for each division on their duties that they were going to take, and then the level of communication we were going to have during the transition of trying to get over to our generator power. And then our creative ideas, which is identified Amy as having one amazing creative idea to try to be able to control our own destiny and not have to worry about when Edison was going to shut us down, and try to get on generator power as soon as we could. So if there were any issues, we can switch right back over to Edison, take care of the generator issues, and continue to supply water. But our biggest focus was making sure that our purveyors and the residents of Ventura County that are served remain having water service and we protected public health. So at our last board meeting, I discussed how our demands increased, and this is identifying just how much we increased. And for those who enjoy using the flow of cubic feet per second and those who want to use 1 million gallons per day, both charts are up here. But this is really an indicator of what was going on with our purveyors as they were preparing for the power outage, and they started filling their reservoirs. And normally during this time of year, reservoirs are managed at a lower level so you can have turnover and you manage water quality much better. As I mentioned, we changed our mode of operation as well. And we began to fill and keep our reservoirs full, anticipating the power outages, but anticipating the increase in demand that we're going to have from our purveyors. So part of what we realized is we did need to get over on generator power prior to Edison shutdown, because if we had any disruption in being able to produce water, it could take us, up to 3 hours to get our plant back up and running. And knowing that that was our main source of supply at that time, it could have had a horrific negative impact on our purveyors and water quality. Something that I really want to note on here is our permit allows us to operate for the generators during an emergency, which means we already have to lose power. PSP was not considered an emergency. However, because of Amy's efforts and her ability to deal with regulators on a different level, Amy, partnered in discussing this stuff with the APCD. And what they've done is they redefined how they address the PSPs. And for Calleguas, we no longer have to call and get the permission to switch over. Once we have that PSP notification, we can switch over to our generator powers. Generator power we just have to notify them that we did so. And 48 hours after we switch back over to Edison power, we just have to let them know we switched back over. Here's the generators that ran and here's how many hours. And that can just be done in an email. So it saved us a lot of grief. It saved us a lot of staffing hours of how to figure out how we're going to switch over and when we're going to switch over. Now that's in Calleguas' control. And that's a huge part, mainly because of Amy.
Is that something that we can do moving forward, or is that just single?
Yeah, we received an email yesterday with direction from them on how we can move forward with the PSPS. We just have to let them know that we did it. We don't have to notify them or ask them for approval to do so. And that also keeps us from having, any penalties or having to use any of our maintenance hours to do so.
Okay. We have restricted maintenance hours as well.
We do. And each generator will, based off its, they call it an engine family history, will have a different number of hours that you can exercise that generator for maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Is this a county regulation, or is this something that rolled down from state?
Well, this is Ventura County Air Pollution Control District.
Okay.
And was that Las Virgenes' problem with them as well?
No, they're
Generating?
Las Virgenes is within South Coast Air Quality Management District, so they're in a different district for starters. And their issue was their operating hours they have a limit on operating hours even under an emergency. So that was the issue they were trying to address. We don't have that problem in Ventura County APCD. But we did have the challenge of an imminent PSPS with uncertain timing, not previously counting as emergency. And now it does.
Very good.
So transitioning over to power, this was unique as we have not had a PSPS when the plant was running and Metropolitan is off and Edison's shutting down. So do not experience something and not ever have to go through that practice and successfully make a transition. Because we really came out of this unscathed, and it's really a testimony to the level of staff, dedication of staff and their professionalism, and what they were able to achieve. Transitioning a water treatment plant with multiple valves, unit processes, analyzers, ensuring that none of those go down because, now we're dealing with a different regulatory agency should any of that happen. And it is a trickle down effect because we have to notify our purveyors if that happens as well. If we had any disruption within the plant.
So what kind of situation would we have been in if we hadn't received that approval and we had been hit with the power shutoff? I think we would have turned them on anyway, right? To keep the water flowing.
So
That would have at least been the decision we would have had to make.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And thankfully, we didn't find ourselves in that position.
and the innovative approach, one of the things that we discussed was if we need to do this, how do we go about utilizing some of our maintenance hours and then adjusting our maintenance throughout the year to account for those hours? So that was something that was on the table. Once we got the approval from APCD, that went out the window. But we looked at different scenarios of what we were going to do and how we would control that ourselves. And one of it was we would bring it to Christine and Ian and let them know we want to do this and here's how we want to do it.
With the comparatively smaller fires that cropped up kind of all over around here, any delay in water delivery, we very likely avoided at least making those worse, right? So I think that overlap is invaluable.
Okay. So even with the preparation, innovative thinking, and of course tenacity from staff, without the capital investments of being able to have backup power generation, none of it would have mattered. We wouldn't have been able to serve our customers a constant supply of water. Once we were hydraulically lost our reservoir levels, so would they. So some of those generators that we ran were the Conejo standby generators. We have 4 generators at that location. They're 2,900 horsepower. They supply water to the Lake Bard water filtration plant as well as the district facilities. They began running on the 7th and they ran through the 16th. And then, of course, we had to start them again on the 20th because we're under another PSP event right now. Wellfield standby generators, we have 5 29 horsepower generators at that location. They supply water to all the Wellfield facilities 1 and 2. And they ran from the 7th through the 13th. We're currently not running the Wellfield.
How many wells are operating at the Wellfield?
So we have the ability to run 17. We do have 1 well that is currently under maintenance. So, and we don't run them all at the same time, right, to change the demand on the aquifer.
Thank you.
And our Granson pump station, we have 2 3,700 horsepower standby generators there. We have 1 750 horsepower generator there, and that's really for house power for lights and so forth. It's not really intended to run these pumps. And that pump station took water from our well field, and that's how we moved water to Simi Valley. So in the event that this wasn't available, it's not just our well fields and how we would operate, but it's also notifying the purveyor that we wouldn't be able to supply them water supply during this outage. Communication and outreach with our purveyors during the PSP, multiple purveyors. They lost power, but they also lost the ability to communicate and how they would be able to see flows and levels. So they did reach out to our operation and our control room, asking if we can change how we operated and how we were able to supply them water, which we were able to do that for some of them. But anticipating the power loss, as I mentioned, we did increase our reservoir levels to be able to feed them water, which would be more of a gravity float control instead of us automated control demands on flow. So we were able to ensure the water deliveries that they remain constant. Didn't receive anything from a purveyor saying that they lost pressure, that they lost volume. So really, staff did an incredible job to make sure that we protected our purveyors, but we also protected our infrastructure.
So going back 1 slide, the Granson pump station has 2 generators. 3 generators. That you have a mechanical failure on one of those generators. How many does it take to run the system?
So, well, it depends on the demands. So I can get that information and get back to you, but we're usually running 1.
Just 1.
Because we're not running all 3 pumps at the same time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And we do have staff,
Actually, 5 pumps,
5 pumps.
because there's 3 in phase 1 and 2 in phase 2.
Okay, so with the 3 generators, you can run all 5 pumps in an emergency.
Yeah, it was sized so that we can run everything at once, but it doesn't have excess capacity. It wasn't built with a redundant generator.
Okay.
There wasn't enough room on site.
Right.
To do that, even if we had wanted to.
Yeah, and we ran it with the 2 generators. The smaller generator is really for the facility itself.
Okay, and the other pump stations are the same way? I mean, do we have enough power if 1 or 2 go out to keep running it in an extended period of time?
Most of the other pump stations only have a single generator.
Okay,
So 2 of the pump stations are here, so they're supplied by the Conejo standby power that Omar talked about a little bit ago. The other ones that we have, Sherwood both have portables. And so there isn't, I mean, we could get another one if we needed to, but they each have just 1 generator normally. Lindero, we are going to bid a project soon with a stationary generator there.
okay.
And that's all the pump stations in our system. We actually don't have that many. We flow mostly by gravity. Sorry if that was, if you wanted to give that information.
That was
The communication loss, was that internal or to us?
the communication loss. We had our own issues with communication failures, and some of that was from power. And staff would go out there and reset our controllers to be able to communicate. So whether it's a radio tower or however other agencies have their communication set up, they would lose communication or would drop out. So since they couldn't rely on it, they looked at a different way to operate their system to continue to get supply instead of demanding supply or requesting supply. It works on a floating system, and we continue to.
All right, I'll be talking about the fires that occurred over the past couple of weeks here. Here's a map.
Last couple hours.
Last couple hours. So here's a map as of about an hour ago. The Hughes fire has since been updated to over 8,000 acres. There is an evacuation order in Ventura County east of Lake Piru. There are also now several evacuation warnings, which are not mandatory. But it's an alert to get people ready to go if they need to. We did receive reports from Metropolitan. Their facilities are not currently in the evacuation zone. LEDWP has increased deliveries from Jensen because LA Aqueduct facilities are in the evacuation zone. However, there's currently no concern about supply at Jensen or Castaic. Obviously, that's subject to change depending on conditions. Other than that, Highway 5 has been closed from Highway 126 to Grapevine Road in Kern County. So all of Highway 5 along that stretch has been shut down.
I have a question for Omar. Have we taken additional deliveries to recoup what we use from the lake and the well field?
Oh, deliveries of water?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Have we use the lake and we use the well field during the outage. Have we filled it back up? Have we taken deliveries to?
Yeah.
It's an emergency. We want to be full rate.
So prior to our starting to use the well field, we inject water into that well field and we anticipate how many days we're going to be off and what that volume looks like. And then as far as the lake, we do replenish that water, even though we're, still running the plant, but we still have some water going in there.
Okay, thank you.
So we did have 3 fires burn in Ventura County, 3 major fires burn in Ventura County. There were several other ignitions that were put out pretty quickly. But those that were most concerning were the Kenneth fire that started south of Bell Canyon, east of Oak Park, and then the 2 fires in the Santa Clara River bottom over the last couple of weeks. Here's a list of most of them. that have occurred, updated as recently as a few hours ago. Obviously, the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, two of the most destructive. And altogether, they've burned over 40,000 acres at this point, which is really unprecedented for January. So throughout the event, we are receiving situation reports, updates. We're receiving constant correspondence from Edison, which again is not entirely reliable, which is why we took matters into our own hands and switching to standby generators. We're also receiving consistent updates from Ventura County Sheriff's Emergency Services. And as part of our role with the Association of Water Agencies of Ventura County, we're relaying those messages to some of the smaller water purveyors, our purveyors, and some of our partners on the west side of the county to make sure everybody's informed. They have the information that they need, and they know that they can contact us or the Ventura County Emergency Operations Center if they have any issues, anything comes up that they need help with. And then throughout the event, we've been in touch with the Metropolitan Water District. They just deactivated their EOC yesterday. So they continue to support a lot of the smaller agencies that were impacted, especially in the Altadena area. But they formally deactivated their EOC yesterday. This is a screenshot from the 69 Bravo helistop up in the Santa Monica Mountains. It's become pretty famous worldwide for its capabilities. It's got a 360 degree view. Obviously the wildfire camera to help monitor the situation. And then they have 4 8,000 gallon dip tanks up there with the ability to constantly replenish them. So this is a shot from the Palisades fire on January 7th with a helicopter having just dipped, leaving to go make a drop on the fire. Part of our efforts to continue supporting firefighting efforts, we have, as you know, relocated the Ventura County Fire Department's dip tank to our wellfield facility. You can see the laboratory and the chlorine building in the background there. And this will be a really good strategic location for them to pick up water for fires in this area. And hopefully it'll help keep them out of Lake Bart a little bit more often. But more than anything, it's a really strategic location, a good project for the community in that area, and it'll help protect our facilities out there. I also wanted to highlight some of the work our staff did in mutual aid over the past couple of weeks with these events. Through the California Water and Wastewater Agency Response Network, we received a request for mutual aid from Altadena. It was one of Foothill Municipal Water District's small retail purveyors. They needed help dewatering 100,000 gallons from 2 reservoirs that had a wooden roof that was burned and collapsed into the reservoir. So those are 2 pictures of those reservoirs. And staff reported, you know, pretty much complete destruction in that area. There wasn't a lot left. Metropolitan was managing the project, so they had staff on site and we're helping to support that small agency. So we did deploy our system maintenance supervisor, Matt Gomez, and 3 of his staff members, Fernando Ferrer, Andres Andrade, and Ivan Guzman. They left here at 3:30 on the 15th, reported back at 1:10 a.m. The next morning after completing the job. So we sent them out with the equipment they needed, the personal protective equipment they needed. And they worked in conjunction with the city of Corona, but also responded to help them dewater these 2 reservoirs. So with that, I'd just like to conclude by commending staff for all of the amazing work, all of the extra responsiveness, the vigilance, the coordination that it took to make it through the past few weeks. You know, as Omar mentioned, we made it through pretty seamless. And that took a lot of planning and preparation and gave us the ability to provide mutual aid to our neighbors who needed our help. So kudos to all of our staff. It was a complete team effort in order to stay operational and make it through. So with that, I will pass it to Charlotte. And then I'll take some questions at the end if you have it.
Just want to take a second to give Daniel this great kudos. You know, when everybody's at home and snuggled up sleeping, his phone's constantly beeping with updates from the county or whoever it may be. And he's sending out those notifications as fast as he gets them. So thank you, Daniel, for all your efforts.
Always good to have an emergency response coordinator who has a newborn at home because he's not sleeping any.
Perfect fit.
That or we're waking up his baby and keep.
Good. Good.
Good evening, directors, and thank you, Daniel. You just heard quite a bit about the monumental effort that staff took throughout this event, and I'm going to shift gears just a little bit to talk about some of the potential policy implications that the Los Angeles fires may have for Calleguas and other water suppliers. And starting really with a lot of press coverage, obviously for an event like this. It was extensive, it was nationwide, it was worldwide. And as the coverage continued, one of the narratives that began to emerge was that firefighters had been running out of water and hydrants were running dry. So there was a lot of discussion about this. And the governor got involved on January 10th by issuing a communication to LA County Director of Public Works, as well as the head of the LADWP. Just a few quotes from his letter he sent. Ongoing reports of water pressure to hydrants and unavailability of water supplies were deeply troubling to him. And quote unquote, we need answers as to how that happened. So specifically, the governor's directives requires state water and firefighting officials to prepare an independent after-action report. The state will be examining the causes of lost water supply and water pressure in municipal water systems during fire events and identify measures that local governments can implement to ensure adequate water supply for firefighting, future emergencies. He's tasking the county with swiftly preparing a report regarding firefighting preparation and response procedures to ensure water for emergencies and documenting the causes of pressure loss and lack of supply. Shortly after the mountain fire, Assemblymember Steve Bennett had some similar ideas. He was concerned about the reported lack of water supply for firefighting efforts during that incident. And shortly thereafter, he began shopping around a proposal for emergency preparation and backup power requirements for water suppliers. And I'm going to give you sort of the general overview. This is not a bill yet. It's still language. It's still being discussed. And his office is open to productive input as it is received. And he's done quite a bit of proactive stakeholder outreach, including to our own general manager, some other purveyors, some other stakeholders. So we appreciate that he's engaging us in the conversation. And I'm going to go over the current provisions, but please keep in mind, this was before anything happened in Los Angeles. So things may have changed since then. But the provisions as we understood it when he first reached out to us, it would require that water tanks that service high wildfire risk areas be topped off when notified by Ventura County Office of Emergency Services. That backup power be promptly available to keep water pumps operating. That the Ventura County Fire District, and I think that means department, might be a typo, to annually inspect critical water facilities to ensure they are as fire resistant as is reasonably possible. And lastly, a report on the topping off efforts and backup power when residential losses from a wildfire exceed a certain dollar figure. We don't know what that dollar figure is. So those were the four main components that he was seeking feedback on. It would also at that time only apply to Ventura County. Not sure if that's changed. But of course, the question when these proposals come up is, where's the funding for it, right? So when asked, he intends to provide some funding source for it. He's specifically looking at Proposition 4 money, which is the climate bond that passed in November. It has $10 billion, 3.8 of which are designated for water supply projects and 1.5 billion for wildfire. So he intends to seriously look at funding for any mandates that are implemented as a result of this law, if passed. And again, it is still a proposal. I want to switch gears a bit. We've talked a lot about PSPS events, and that's really caught the attention of Ventura County Supervisor Jeff Gorell, representing District 2, Thousand Oaks, Newbury Park, Oak Park, that area. He has put forward a proposal for an alternative to Southern California Edison. And he wants to explore a not-for-profit municipal utility district for Ventura County as that public alternative. I'm going to read a quote that he said as to why he's looking at this. SCE has repeatedly demonstrated that its business model, a for-profit regulated corporation, fails to meet the basic standards of transparency, communication, and service reliability that our community deserves. Driven by profit motives rather than the public good, this model lacks the accountability and responsiveness that a municipally driven utility could provide. And just some more specifics on his, I think, somewhat personal experience with SCE and just general concerns: ineffective communication and lack of transparency with the public regarding the duration of power outages is a grave concern to him. Feels SCE is not accountable to public because it's a for-profit corporation. And lastly, his contention is that there have been insufficient or no responses to Ventura County officials on critical matters. So as a result of all this, he brought a proposal forward to the Board of Supervisors last week on January 15th that would direct staff to evaluate the feasibility, costs, and benefits of establishing a municipal utility, considering 4 things. 1, case studies from other California communities. Yes, this has been done elsewhere. Secondly, legal and regulatory requirements. 3rd, potential service improvements and cost savings for residents and businesses. And lastly, governance structures that ensure transparency and accountability. So, pass the supervisors on a 5-0 vote. Staff has been tasked to come back with this research. Not sure when that'll happen, but the ball is rolling. Before I get to questions, I just want to add that chatter in Sacramento is there's going to be potentially literally dozens of bills regarding firefighting, water supply, any combination thereof. So your external affairs team is going to be very busy monitoring all of these things, but it's certainly changed the landscape for legislators and what they're focusing on in this legislative session. So that concludes my portion of the presentation, as well as the joint presentation, and we would be happy to take any of your questions.
Right off the bat, before I move over to questions, I want to say thank you to all staff. Thank you for the staff that responded to Altadena. Omar, please pass that word. And you all have done an incredible job from the board. Thank you. Anyway, questions?
I have some questions on the first 4 that you showed.
Sorry, what?
Was for Bennett? Was that Bennett? It seemed to me like we're already doing some of those things.
We already have backup power. Firstly, in my discussion with Assemblymember Bennett, he told me, at least as it was conceived at the time we had this good discussion, which was a couple weeks ago, this would not apply to wholesalers. So it wouldn't apply to us directly. As Charlotte mentioned, could change. And also we do already have either stationary or mobile backup power available for all of our pump stations, and we own those generators. You know, one of the challenges that some agencies have faced is they don't own those generators. So when they need a generator, they've got to reach out to a rental company and try to get a generator that meets their needs. We have invested over time and at no small cost to make sure we have those generators for ourselves so that we're in control of our own destiny. So we do, yes, already comply with these requirements, and we wouldn't need to
And
as the bill's currently.
I don't know that to be any different with our purveyors either. They want full tanks before, if they see a wildfire coming, they want to fill their tanks up. I see that as just standard operating procedure. Backup power. Operating, everybody knows about that.
Yeah, but I can't speak to whether all of our purveyors have
The capacity.
it either. I think many, especially smaller, rely on rental units and there are some challenges with that.
They're full born. Okay, but yeah. I don't know, I guess I'm stuck on, it's interesting when people talk about holding volumes for wildfire capacity. That's interesting.
Right.
A quality issue.
Mhm.
And then the fact that there's no water available. No, we actually have very full reservoirs throughout the state and in our area. And if you hook up all those trucks all at once to a municipal water system, you can suck it dry real quick.
Right.
It's not built for wildfires. We're all capacity sized to fight a couple of homes on fire and that's about it, right?
I think you make an excellent point, Vice President Quady, and that was something I think that did emerge. I only showed you the headlines, but the stories, there was a repeated narrative of, well, these systems were not built to fight huge conflagrations. They were built for residential usage and different kinds of usage. So there is that understanding. The governor has that understanding. I've heard him in interviews and he understands that. So yeah, there is.
Communication is very important, though. I believe it was on the first or second night of the fires. I was watching the news, KTLA, I think, or Fox 11. I was flipping back between either one of them. And there was somebody who called in who was an expert and said, before you evacuate, turn on your hoses and leave them running. And my jaw just dropped. That is so wrong, and that contributes to those drops in pressures. So it helps, getting ahead of these things to make sure that these news outlets are getting correct information so they don't have some person on there telling the public, just leave your hose running.
Sure.
Run that water into the gutter. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
There's a couple of things there. I think one, that investigation is the intent of, fleshing out these things and trying to learn from, these difficult times and moving forward. But, it's one of those things to also try to mitigate the future. When you rebuild your house, what is the knee-jerk thing to do? Put sprinklers on your roof and do exactly that. But there's videos of whole streets that are flooded during the fires. And then, it's coming out in the street and there's none in the hydrant. So I think that aspect is very important. I had people from communication Europe, on CNN, hey, why don't you guys have any water? Why are this is world news at this point.
Yes.
There's fires and no water. Well, there's water, there's no pressure. And why? And so I was under the impression that there were legal ramifications to turning on your sprinkler system during a fire event, but I didn't see a whole lot of mention of that. So it'll be interesting to see the results of that investigation and kind of what comes from it, lessons learned and all that.
And to your point about communication, you may recall during the mountain fire, Director Robert, we were very proactive.
Yeah.
Dispelling that narrative of fire hydrants running dry. Our Deputy GM was on TV more than once and did interviews to that effect. So yes, in that incident, when it's directly at Calleguas, we were out in front on that messaging.
And I think I was going to mention during Omar's presentation, but or ask, I think we were planning for a certain amount, like 40,000 draw during the metropolitan shutdown, but it was more than double, and we were prepared for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that we could have easily said, well, let's, prepare for 20% extra, 30%. But I think that's another kudos to staff and planning and, just getting ready for the unexpected during the unexpected. So, yeah, I think judging by the size of the fires and how quickly some of them were able to be put out here, I think that goes to show collaboration between everybody in Ventura County. We contained quite a few fires. And, we'll take the little ones where we can get them.
What I'm glad to see is the upper level answer, I think, to fighting these fires when you have municipalities in trouble is you've got these hill spot systems. I'm glad we're in on that. I actually think that those kind of assets are gonna be called for more and more. Whatever we can do in that area, that's kind of that's the fix to the sizing problem. So I think you're onto it.
I think it'll also be interesting to see, because this is a size of something that we haven't seen before in a long time in our current existence with our current draws and our current buildings. But the assistance that we got outside of LA and even outside California and outside the US, and how our preventative measures interacted with those systems, i.e. like the large, I don't know what they're called, the planes from Canada that
Bombardiers.
Yeah,
There are some that are literally called very large air tankers. That's like their official name. I'm not making that up.
and
VLATs, yeah.
and my wonder was, is Lake Bart even big enough to accommodate that?
No.
And I didn't think so, but so they come down and, well, where can they get water? And so yeah, it's interesting to see. I think there's a lot to learn, and there's a saying, never waste a crisis, but I think in this case, it's never miss an opportunity to learn from one. So it'll be very interesting.
If Bennett's proposal goes through, there could be some small water systems might be able to be helped with this funding. If you can get the funding from the state, we know some of the small water systems have difficulty even buying emergency generators.
Of course.
One of the reasons why we have problems in these small communities.
Absolutely, Director Pakala. And that was one of the things that we know was conveyed to him, was that funding piece would be critical for smaller systems, and can't just implement, a mandate like this without some funding behind it for folks who really need it.
And maybe with some of those smaller systems, smaller agencies, maybe we can implement a loaner program for our purveyors, loan out some generators and things like that in emergencies.
And that's what mutual aid,
Yeah.
that's exactly what that Cal Warren Mutual Aid Program is set up to do. It's lending anything, staff, equipment, whatever. And if we're in a position to do it, and because we don't need our generators, we absolutely will.
Good.
Do we have any issues with communication as far as like internet? I know there's, power and stuff, but sometimes communication lines are down. No? Good. I know a lot of people in the area lost internet, so just like our purveyors, couldn't contact us or this, that, and the other. I know that some districts went up and bought Starlink. And
We do have, actually, Daniel, do you mind coming up to the podium and talking a little bit about the emergency communication tools we already have available to us?
Yeah, so we do have a backup radio system. It's a two-way radio system. We didn't experience any internal cellular communications or internet communication issues during the January events. Other than those that were associated with the power outages, which is more on the telemetry side with SCADA. But some of the backup systems we have are the two-way radios. We do participate in Metropolitan's member agency response system, which is another radio system, communicates from here all the way to Eagle Rock, all the way to San Diego. So every metropolitan agency has one of those. We have a satellite phone, which just needs direct access to the sky. So we have that if we need to use it.
We have some landlines that aren't VoIP, just in case.
We have multiple landlines, and we do have a ham radio. So the amateur radio league in Ventura County comes up and exercises their our ham radio. They're volunteers, they're amateurs. We can't pay them to use it. They just want to support public safety. And so you might see them out at public events. They're out at fundraisers and like 5Ks all the time.
Yeah.
But they do come up here and exercise our ham radio on a monthly basis. And that can communicate all the way up to Sacramento if we needed to.
One of those guys was at the chamber meeting this morning, actually.
Yeah, they're
Ham radio club.
they're very visible.
Yeah.
one of the concerns there, and I remember the first time I experienced this when I lived in Virginia, we had a small earthquake where we never do. And all cell phones went down. Everyone was trying to call someone. Did you feel it? And that was the most interesting thing where just overuse of a system just totally.
You want to talk about prioritization on that too?
We are also registered with the Wireless Priority Service, which is a Department of Homeland Security program. So we have basically front of the line access to make cell phone calls during an incident.
I believe they sent me a card too when I got on the board, so
Right.
I should have received them as well.
It's a good reminder that some of us should make sure we know where that information is in case we need it.
Yep.
Yeah, I probably need a new one.
I'll take a look at that program and make sure everybody's registered.
Yeah. Another thing with that is, with all these drops into Lake Bard to pick up water, that I'm sure increases risk on our emergency supply. Are we tracking how many times they've dipped in and also looked at potential risk mitigation there? For example, setting a helipod over on the side of the lake so that they're not dipping into the lake.
That's something we've looked at. In terms of supply, it's really like a drop in the ocean. They're picking up 1,000 to 3,000 gallons out of a 10,000 acre.
Yeah, and in that regard, I understand that. What I mean is, God forbid, there's an accident and they fall in or, quagga mussels into the lake, right? If we looked at all the risk and whether it would be in our benefit to put, say, one or two of those pods off on the side so that they're not going directly into the lake.
Yeah, I think it's something worth looking into. During a major incident, we wouldn't be able to keep them all out of the lake.
Yeah.
Something like the Easy Fire that happened across the street, we had 5-6 aircrafts in there at once.
Wow.
But yeah, during these small ignitions where they're picking up one load and making a drop, that is one way to keep them out of the lake. And we're hoping that the dip tank out at the well field will help with that as well.
Are we tracking, I know we're tracking a lot of these aircraft. Do we have a flag system in place where we know that they dipped in the area that are muscle when they, I know we're kind of on it, but I don't know.
Yeah, we directly communicate with them after every single dip that they make, and we ask where their last dip occurred and when, and if they had disinfected their equipment. They've been really, really diligent about disinfecting their equipment before they come to Lake Bard. And they typically do not come if they've already dipped somewhere else that is known to be contaminated.
Okay. Great. Anything else from the board? Okay, thank you all, staff. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Charlotte, Omar.
Very much.
And everyone else who isn't here. Be sure to pass that along. I really don't, I don't think I can overstate what an accomplishment this is, because it has been essentially invisible to all of you and our 650,000 customers that we basically ran the entire system with no met water and no utility power for a week during high fire risk conditions. That's an incredible accomplishment.
Absolutely. The accomplishment is that no one noticed.
The accomplishment is that no one noticed, but that's why we need to tell you about it. So you know.
We all know about it now.
And the same, or a similar version of this presentation will be given tomorrow at the purveyor meeting, and also will be AWA water issues topic next month. Probably has to be a shorter version for that. Right?
Yeah. All right. That case, we're moving on to item 2, December 2024 water use and sales. Dan Smith.
Hey. Good evening, directors. So this is the water use and sales report. So for the month of December, we sold almost 6,000 acre feet of water, which is a lot more than I had anticipated. We had only budgeted about 4,700 acre feet. So we again exceeded our budget, bringing the year to date total of 42,643 acre feet. So we are close to 2,600 acre feet above where I would have anticipated us being, based on the 73,000 acre foot budget for this year, acre feet of budget. So We are looking pretty good. We've got some cushion in there coming into these potentially wetter months, but we have not seen that yet. Looking at the graph, just to kind of show you how we've been doing against the budget, you can see that every month this year, we've really been above budget. There was the 1 month we actually hit the budget exactly. But the rest of them, we've been above. So compared to last year, the last 6 months, you can see we were below budget almost every single month. So we are doing much more water sales this year, but it has been drier this year. So that does make a difference with the water sales. To look at the invoice for the Metropolitan Reconciliation, the one in the board packet has changed since then. If you look at the one in the board packet, there was a big reconciliation adjustment amount. When I did that, I brought that up to Omar to take a look at because it did not seem right. It was about $190,000, I think. And since then, we've figured out that there was a problem in the adjustments. And so we've corrected it. And now we have a $46,000 adjustment, which is more typical of what we see when we're trying to match up to what Met says the water we took in versus the water we sold. If that's really due to a lot of times to water loss, there also can be timing differences between Mets and when we get the Met water and when we're sending it out. Water in tanks, water in pipes, it all varies sometimes, and that can cause these adjustments to occur. But either way, we had water sales of $7.4645. We did put additional water into storage, as Omar was talking about. We put it in December, anticipating this shutdown in January. So we added almost $1.3 million, almost $1.5 million worth of water into the well field and Lake Bard, so that we're prepared for that outage. There's the reconciliation adjustments to get to the total water purchased from Met at $8.8 million. Always have the CRC and the RTS on a monthly basis. We did get a little money back from LRP funds for our one member agency. We did, as you can see, here's our reverse cyclic purchase showing up on the December bill of $12.5 million. That will be being paid in the end of February. So but we've already got the money ready, sitting in our LAIF account, ready to go to Met when the bill comes due. Bringing the total Met bill to $22 million this time around, which is a lot higher than we're used to, but it's going to be good when we have this all this prepaid water that we're going to get a deal on. Looking at the SMP discharge for December, we only had discharge of 31.5 acre feet. Camarosa's plant is still offline, so we're only looking at discharge coming from Camarillo. That is putting us a little behind on our overall budget for the year. We budgeted to be around 429 acre feet of discharge, and we're currently at 368 acre feet. So we're a little bit below, but it's not too bad at this point. Power generations, we also were a little bit lower this year than we had anticipated. We brought in $33,000 and we anticipated about closer to 40,000. But overall for the year, we are still above budget. We've brought in $380,000 and I would anticipate about $346,000 at this point in the year. Just to kind of give you a snapshot of the revenues, you can see that for the month of December, we had $10.2 million come in, bringing our year-to-date total to $73.7 million, puts us at about 56% of our budget, and typically be about 52.4 because we've got that extra water that we've sold for this year. Recycled water sales continues to outpace where we thought we'd be with the budget. We're at 77.8%. Budgeted typically about 67% at this point. SMPs are now falling behind because Camarosa's plant's been shut down for 2 consecutive months. I'm not sure if it's going yet. Something we can look into, but it's not that important to our revenue stream at this point. And power generation, we are ahead of schedule based on the additional funds coming in the previous months. Looking at our cash and investments, we did end up with extra cash in the month of December. That is primarily due to $5.8 million coming in property tax in December. So that's typical. This is when kind of at the time we expect our first payment. You'll see that we did start moving some money around out of unrestricted investments, and it went to the restricted investments for the January 1st bond payments. In all this, we also, in December, because we refinanced those bonds, had to pay $1.7 million in interest on those bonds we refinanced because we had interest due between July 1st and December 10th. And so that money was also transferred out at this point. And that's all I have for the water use and sales, unless there's some additional questions.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, no questions.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, moving on to general counsel's report.
No report this evening.
Fourth. Okay, in that case, we're moving on to board of directors reports. And
There have been no committee meetings since the last board meeting.
there have been no committee meetings. Okay, in that case, we'll start with the Aqua Region 8 Director.
Okay, all I have is a midterm meeting coming up February 14th.
Okay. Aqua JPA.
We have got a goat contest winner.
Wow.
This is the mascot for JPIA. That was important because that's a 2025 revelation.
Yeah.
And so the goat's name is Andy. Just like GOAT, all acronyms, right? So
Wow.
GOAT's the greatest of all time, right? So, and then you have Andy, which is a network dedicated to you. So that's the only update I have for JPIA.
I love that update. I did vote for GOAT.
Double acronyms, your favorite thing.
I don't like acronyms.
That explains a lot because I get all the swag at the Aqua JPIA conference. And just today, I came across my goat keychain from the conference with JPIA on it. I said, why do I have this?
Yeah, now you know
I
what,
don't remember getting this.
now you know what his name is. We can call it Andy.
All right. Okay, C is Report of Association of Water Agencies in Ventura County. I called in, but I actually had Tebow fill in for me at the board meeting. You have a report from that.
Yeah, AWA.
It's my alternate.
Let me see here. My notes must be somewhere else. There was, they chose, new positions and, I think in March, they'll be choosing, different, board member positions as well, awaiting, the different boards to choose their committee assignments. And other than that, I think that was about it.
Is that the officers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the AWA a hybrid meeting or is it in-person meeting?
It's hybrid. I called in. I wasn't able to
So
participate.
you could call in then.
You could call in.
Yeah.
For that, you have to go through them or through our clerk of the.
Through them.
Directly with them.
Yeah.
There's AWA, all the AWA meetings, water-wise,
Water issues.
issues and the board meeting, they're all hybrid.
And I apologize for giving the board bad information last time about WaterWise because they had changed their flyer in a way that it wasn't clear that the remote option was still available, but it is indeed still available.
Yeah. And actually you emailed Kara and Kara gets you signed up to the meetings.
Okay, we still go. Okay, I didn't know which way you go if you want to sign up.
Our wonderful Kara facilitates all that.
That's what I was gonna say, the wonderful Kara.
We'll change your nameplate.
The wonderful Kara. I like that. Okay. All right, let me see, and
AWA raised their dues, for the first time in 18 years. I think it went up $10 and then next year will be another 5 or 10%. Next year will be another 5.
yeah. And also on the 16th, there was Water Wise where Noah came and told us about the drought, and yeah, we're still in a drought.
Said it's dry and windy and it's gonna stay dry and windy.
Yeah.
Well, and just to check, because on behalf of Reddy, but also I'm not sure I'm clear, is that Kara arranges all those connections for the AWA breakfast meetings but the other things are kind of like you pipe.
Not the board meeting, Not
the board meeting, that's
Or water issues, you can go to those.
water issues go through you.
No, you can just go to that,
Water-wise,
It's only water wise or any other event.
any other- Okay, because you have to get the connector, right?
Well, and I need to register you and we pay and then you get the Zoom link
That's just for Waterwise.
for just Waterwise.
Water issues, the Zoom link should come out to all of us as members automatically. They do ask that you RSVP if you're gonna come in person, so they have enough donuts or bagels.
And water issues was yesterday. They spoke about upcoming potential topics. Christine brought up the fire updates and was it casitas? No, not casitas.
No, Casitas,
Casitas.
they were gonna talk about their interconnection that they're making with Carpinteria to the
Yeah.
north.
That's the one. Thank you.
I don't think they committed to exactly which meeting or forum, but that is an upcoming topic.
Yeah.
MWD is starting a education partnership program, which was good to see. And from the meteorological update, the El Nino conditions went from watch to advisory, and it's a weak El Nino.
La Nina.
La Nina. And it's gonna be dry for the next 10 to 14 days.
Except this weekend.
Yeah, might get some rain this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
this was a couple days ago.
It's okay. They get paid for being wrong anyway.
That's what we learned at AWA.
It was interesting. One of the questions asked about was the modeling, and it used to be, they just sit down there and do local modeling, but now it's thousands of models around the world that they use and converge, and so using a lot of data.
That work and they're still wrong.
Although it seemed like they've done a good job on the winds.
Yeah.
Winds have been pretty good.
Yeah, they did say that this past weekend the winds would be going up, so they're right on that one.
All right, we're moving on to D, report of Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency. I did not attend this meeting. It was earlier today. Ian, did you attend by any
I
chance?
did not attend either, but I will have a report from someone that did.
Put it in the monthly status report.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Jackie, Met Water District Director.
Yes, on January 9th, I attended the North Caucus via Zoom. On the 12th through the 14th, I attended the Met Board and committee meetings at MWD's headquarters. And then the 20th through the 22nd, I attended Met's special joint meeting of the Executive Committee and Board of Directors and the Subcommittee on Pure Water Southern California.
Thank you, Jackie.
Mhm.
All right, LAFCO, that is me. So on LAFCO, this past Wednesday, I was appointed as chair and Supervisor Parvin was appointed as vice chair. We approved an annexation time extension for Ventura River Water District for Tico Mutual and Burnham parcel. There was also a Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency Municipal Services Review that was approved and followed by a Fox Water Canyon Groundwater Management Agency Sphere of Influence Review, and that was also approved. The last one was a Gold Coast Transit District Sphere of Influence Review, and that was also approved.
Do LAFCO meet as needed or do they meet every month or every 2 months?
It's supposed to be every month, but most of the time the meetings get skipped. So depending on the workload or the items that need to come before the commission, they'll schedule it on usually around the 15th, Wednesday.
Thank you.
Okay, BCREA.
Yeah, the prior meeting was canceled. The next meeting is on February 20th.
Okay, BCSDA.
No meeting since last board meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to director's list of reimbursable meetings. Let's start with Director Quady.
Okay, from the last time, January 13th, I attended by Zoom the MWD Engineering Ops, and the One Water Stewardship Committee. On the 14th, I attended the executive board meeting. And on the 15th, I attended the CoLab wheel meeting and tonight's board meeting.
Okay, thank you. Director McCall?
Yeah, I attended on January 6th, the orientation with the general manager and all the management staff right here. I'm not sure where I report my meeting, Calleguas board meeting. When do I report there? Which sections?
So you would, usually the board members report it as tonight's board meeting.
Okay, tonight's board meeting.
All right. Robert.
Sure. So since the last board meeting, our last board meeting, AWA board meeting on the 9th, Ventura County Taxpayer Association meet and greet on the 13th. CoLab wheel meeting on the 15th. 16th AWA Waterwise, on the 21st AWA, water issues. That gets me, and tonight's board meeting.
Okay, since my last board meeting, I've been very busy. On the 9th, I attended the Chamber Economic Development Committee meeting at the town center where they discussed the plans for the development there. They're looking at building something like, should I want to say 500 homes there for sale, not rentals, smaller single family units for purchase. According to the developer at a reasonable price. They're looking at creating a larger environment with more restaurants for people to come eat and hang out at with the different activities and a spot for larger retail like a Dick's Sporting Goods. So that's interesting, and also we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll have a lot more customers at one of our purveyors after that. After that, let's see, the next day I attended the chamber member meeting with Kat Errett. She attended that one again. Gave a great update on Calleguas for us. And the next meeting I attended was LAFCO on the 15th. AWA Waterwise on the 16th. I met with the GM on the 17th to discuss agenda and also new responsibilities as president. See on the 21st, water issues, and tonight's board meeting. And this morning I also attended the legislative affairs forum with the chamber. Charlotte and Kat also attended that one. And tonight's board meeting.
And the taxpayers.
And the Ventura County Taxpayers Association annual membership meeting, which was really a great meeting, actually. I really have enjoyed a couple times I've attended those. There's a lot to learn and hear from really our ratepayers and, you know, other local agencies on their concerns and things that we should be working towards, what they see we should be working towards. And I'd actually like to see if we could be a member. I know we've attended a lot of those meetings. Being a member is fairly inexpensive. I think it's $200 a year or $500, but it includes attendance for up to 4 people to any of their events.
I think
it might be
there too, and
might be cost savings.
I was able to hear from different people with different issues and different concerns, which, you know, the more we connect with those people and the more we hear about those, you know, the more we can improve or, you know, satisfy or support and that kind of thing. So I think because they're there as community leaders as well. And so I think it's just another avenue for us to connect.
Okay, well, we'll look into that. It's fairly timely because Dan's got us working on budget already.
Yeah. And I know we've hosted them here for one of their meetings as well before, and it was nice. Okay, and that's it for me, I think. I'm approaching 14 meetings this month already, so it's been a busy one. Okay, and after that is discussion regarding upcoming meetings to be attended by board members.
We missed Director McMillan.
Oh, sorry, Director McMillan.
Yes, thank you very much. On January the 10th, I attended a strategy meeting between Calleguas and MWD upcoming meetings. And then my written report has a typo that should be the 14th should be the 15th for the CoLab Wheel Committee. The 16th, I was Waterwise Breakfast. The 17th, I did training for CSDA on their parliamentary procedure. I actually ended up taking 12 pages of notes, which I'm going to share with Kara. Yeah, it was a 2-hour training, and I learned quite a bit that I didn't know about Robert's rules of like all questions and comments should be addressed to the chair only. You don't talk to crosswise to each other. It's just, so I'll share it with you. It was interesting. And then on the 18th, I did another training for fraud detection and prevention for special districts. And then today, the board meeting.
Thank you, Director McMillan. Okay, now discussion regarding upcoming meetings to be attended by board members. That's great.
I'll be attending a Chamber of Commerce breakfast tomorrow morning.
Director McCullough.
I'll be attending Calleguas purveyors meeting tomorrow, right here. I want to go and introduce myself to all the purveyors. Maybe I know a few of them, but I haven't been there for a long time.
It's a very good meeting to attend. I'd say it's probably one of the most beneficial.
I will also be attending Southern California Water Coalition meeting in Inglewood, along with our Legislative Affairs Manager. That's on January 26th.
Robert?
I regretfully will not be able to attend the Purveyor meeting tomorrow. I'll be out of town, but it's a great one. CCWC on the 29th and the CME Chamber of Commerce on the 30th, saluting Elaine Freeman, who has been invaluable at VCSDA. So
Just, I guess, information for me. Do the board members, all of you attend a purveyors meeting regularly, or just go only one or two goes at a time?
I think it's usually when we're available. We haven't in the past done any structure on who's attending. Usually one or two of us.
Okay.
If there's more than two, I will take note of it and ask that the board members.
We sit in the back and don't say a word.
the meeting's not.
Don't talk and spread out.
I take on Walt's Brown Act monitor responsibilities in those situations.
But it's really for the purveyors, so, and
Yeah,
it's
even when we do attend and there's only one or two of us, I really take that one as a listening opportunity to hear and understand what our purveyors need or what they're working towards, what they're looking for, and just sit in the back and listen. It's not.
I have been the other side for 20 years, so.
Yeah.
What President Vila said is exactly correct. I think the most valuable thing out of going to those meetings is to hear what the purveyors have.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, for me, Director McMillan.
Yes, tomorrow I'll be attending an urgent meeting at Metropolitan to discuss settlements with our general manager. And I think it's going to end on a good note. And next week, I'll be traveling back to Met for the subcommittee on long-term reliability. And on the 30th, I've got the West Ventura County Business Alliance annual meeting. And on the 31st, CSDA's legislative committee via Zoom.
Thank you, Director McMillan. For myself, tomorrow I will be attending the purveyor meeting. On the 24th, I will be attending the Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce board retreat to figure out what the plan is for this year. My legislative priorities, and pushing for water issues. On the 30th, I will be attending the Fox Canyon GMA representative election.
and the CME.
And the Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce. Salute to excellence for Elaine.
On the upcoming meetings, what is CoLab Wheel meeting for?
So it's the Coalition of Labor, Agriculture, and Business I'm probably not going to remember exactly what the WHEEL acronym stands for, but the W is water.
Water, housing, energy, environment, and labor.
Oh. Thank you.
It's a very good meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to action items.
Well, you just, I don't know if we skipped over future agenda items, if there may not be any.
Okay, future agenda items. Any future agenda items?
We may need also to circle back on the end at that of the meeting on that, depending on what happens in some of the assignments.
Okay. Number 7 is action items, discussion regarding potential changes to the district administrative code.
Yes, as the board on the packet, there was a brief memo. Director Pacala has requested that the board consider a potential change to the administrative code that would modify how the options that are available to the directors with respect to medical benefits. Our manager of human resources and risk management, Tricia Ferguson, will be giving a brief overview with a little bit of information about current benefits as well as what some other agencies are doing. And then it will get out of the way and the board can discuss their options.
Thank you for the introduction. So good evening. We just put together some numbers for you guys. I think you saw the memo in the agenda. So currently in the admin code, you guys have an option to elect into our medical benefits with the premiums paid. And this is what it looks like that we've paid over the last 5 years. So you have an idea. We're around $50,000 per year. And then off to the right, you can see how many directors are taking advantage of those benefits that are available for you. So currently for our budget, for our last board, we had 3 participating in these benefits and taking advantage of that. Last year, that was just right around $50,000 in our budget. And for this upcoming year, we've budgeted $56,000 for increased premiums. On the next slide, well, we did a survey while we had the last 4 days. So we went out to about 44 different agencies around Southern California. We got responses from 23 of them, and this is how the results broke out. So you can see at the bottom in the key district paid premiums, 65% of the agencies that responded are providing district paid premiums to their board of directors. Second to that was no benefits. So that was about 4 agencies when you only have 23 in your survey group. So 18% are offering that. So any questions on that breakdown? And lastly, here are the monthly premium costs for the directors by plan. You can see we have 1 PPO option. That is the most expensive, and then the following HMO options below that.
And these are the same benefits plans that were referenced on the last slide that the other agencies are using?
Other agencies may not be members of CalPERS, so they could be doing their own thing. Several of them cover the director and dependents up to a maximum amount of, maybe the HMO amount or the PPO. They all have their own little, differences about them. But typically, if they're doing a set amount, it's right around $2,700 per month. If they're setting a max, a lot of them just set the max at what their highest PPO is, like we do.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, questions from the board? Well, actually, I need to go back. Questions from the public.
Any members of the public wish to make public comment? Please use the raise hand feature at this time. I see no raised hands.
Okay. What does staff get? Wow, how much of this do we cover for staff? Is it completely covered for staff as well?
Correct. Yes.
I think the admin code change is an interesting way to reduce costs for the district while maintaining the benefits. In certain cases, some directors will have other jobs or other abilities to get medical coverage, where previously we had to choose between one or the other. This is a clever way to take advantage of underutilized ancillary benefits kind of from both perspectives. So I think it's an interesting and clever modification.
Go ahead.
Yeah, after you.
You're the introductor.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I first want to thank staff for bringing this for board's consideration within a short period of time. And if the board were to approve these changes to the administrative code, Calleguas will save as much as $10,000 per year. Instead of myself taking one of the plans that district offers. It's a big cost savings. And once the decision is made, I have to decide what I want to do. So whatever the decision is made by the board, then that's when I'll decide which way I'm going to go. If the reimbursement is approved, I'll keep my own insurance. That'll save money for the district.
Dr. Creighton? Well, so from my experience, to me, I think I want to chime in on Director Roberts' comment that it's an interesting concept. But one of the things that I don't see in the language, maybe I missed it, but there's no text with an option to opt out of district coverage written in there and no reimbursement.
I think that's just always an option.
Yeah.
They write it in if we.
Yeah, we could be more explicit about that if that's the board's preference.
It's something that I did during 2008 through 16. And so I always thought that that was saving lots of money for the district.
Yeah.
Yes, you can waive the coverage. You're not required to enroll.
If we've only got 3, then 2 must be opting out.
I've always opted out. I pay for it through the Navy.
And sometimes board members' retirement covers, is covering their medical, so they don't need to opt into it. So those are a couple reasons why.
And the other thing is that it kind of looks like a change or expansion in directed benefits. So at this time with MWD rates, I know it doesn't make that big of a dent, but it's a principal thing. So I'm not too certain that I'm amenable to that.
I agree. I think maybe with a cap to the maximum benefits that would be paid out, I would be amenable.
I see this as a way to save money. Did I misunderstand that? I mean, I went through it earlier. Before you have, okay, so if you're presented with the option to keep, if you have another job or other benefits that you pay some part to, and you're presented with the option to have a fully paid benefit, you have to choose either or, and that fully paid benefit by the district is a full cost. But if you have the option to supplement what your small part is to your current benefit, then that payment from the district drops from full cost to just the part that you're responsible for from your other source. So I think in that regard, you'd save. Like in the college.
Not as opposed to the third option.
Sorry.
Not from the third option. The third option would save the most amount of money.
Yeah. Third option being, sorry.
Being you do not engage in the district's coverage, you take your own company's.
Right. And currently, yeah, I guess that's always an
And
option.
no premium reimbursement.
But that's currently an option and would still be an option, correct?
Well, like I say, that could be written in, I guess.
I don't think anyone's gonna force you to.
To me, that would at least look better that option was there as well.
I assume that was an option. I mean, I assumed
It's the unspoken.
it's remained to
The
be.
unspoken rule.
Yeah, okay.
Certainly staff can modify the language and
100%.
and
Director McMillan?
Yes,
There you
there
had
was
your-
another
go on.
option I would like staff to take a look at, and this was something that was done at the Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency. They set up an HSA, an account, and so instead of paying premiums that you don't get back, it would go into an account up to about $10,000 a year. And then the benefit of that is the money was there if you needed it for medical expenses. But if you didn't use it, it would go back to the agency at the end of the year. So it was actually a better option for both the benefit of the person receiving the insurance and also for the district that was paying it, because many times the board members did not use that money up. It could not be used for premiums. That's one thing that's prohibited, but for out-of-pocket costs, it could. And it helps to supplement if you have another insurance provider on the outside of the district. It's just something I'd like staff to take a look at and see if it would be of benefit to us.
And what that administrative burden would be.
Yeah, it sounds like really there's a lot of options to look at right now. Is this something that maybe the board would like to come back at a future agenda?
I definitely support data-driven, decision-making, and I appreciate, like Director Carl said, I appreciate the staff bringing this to our attention quickly, but I hesitate to rush into things. I think as a data-driven type of person, but I would support this being kind of thoroughly explored and then reevaluated.
Timing wise, Tricia, could you comment a little bit on the timing that a new director has in terms of opting in or out of the program as it currently exists?
Sure. So Reddy would have 60 days from the time he was sworn in to enroll in a plan. So we have maybe till the next meeting, just to be safe.
The other options that are being discussed, would they be supplemental to this action? I guess what I'm asking is, could we take it in steps?
Yeah, I think the board has an enormous amount of discretion here. I think the board could take action tonight on the language in front of them, ask that the staff come back with different language. I think to the extent that there's interest in the HSA plan that Director McMillan was talking about, I think that's a more involved type program. So I don't think that's the kind of thing that we could come back with at the next board meeting. If the board wants to adopt the language we have with the addition of also you don't have to pick any of these, that's an action the board could take tonight.
We could approve this temporarily until it comes back to the board in more depth review.
Okay.
This could also
Possibly to get.
If in the future we decide that we found this other system that is not this and we find another process that works, we could undo this as well, right? At that time.
Yeah, I mean, the board can change the admin code as frequently as they would like. Staff would prefer they not do it every meeting, but it's
I guess
really can't be
my
done.
fear is also, running out of time on this and then some of the savings that we could realize, we miss out on.
So I would move that the admin code be revised with the additional language of the nothing option. And that we return to this issue at some later meeting after staff has investigated some of the issues raised by Director McMillan.
I would agree to that.
Yeah.
Is that a second?
Sure. Just to be clear, so that we can administer the admin code correctly, we're approving the suggested revisions that are in the board packet with an addition of the completely opt-out language. And that's what we're voting on this evening, to be followed with the HSA option to be deferred for later evaluation. Is that correct?
Thank you.
Okay, looking for a roll call.
Okay, and second was Robert.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Director Kala,
Yes.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Robert,
Yes.
Director Quady,
Aye.
Director Vila.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. Yeah, thank you, Kara. And thank you,
Tricia.
Tricia.
Yeah, Tricia and Dan. Dan didn't speak as part of this, but Dan's involvement was critical. And of course, Walt helped with us as well. It was a team effort, as everything is here. But Tricia was the primary lead on that one.
Okay, thank you all staff. Next, the exciting item everyone looks forward to every few years, discussion regarding board committee assignments, collateral assignments, and Metropolitan Water District representative.
And just for the board's benefit, if I could note something that district council made clear to me, board committees and collateral assignments do not need to be done formally by voting. The board can handle those by consensus. That's what the admin code says. The metropolitan representative must be voted on by the board in accordance with the admin code. So
Okay.
that could simplify the procedure by reducing the number of roll call votes that are necessary.
All right.
Is there a method of operations that's advantageous or? Because I know sometimes it's you pick one and then that affects others.
Well, I have an idea.
All right, let's hear it, Director Quady.
I actually think that what you should look at is the historical or the January 16th listing and see that the distribution of committee assignments and track as to whether or not there's balance. You know, I think, you know, you can give so many to person.
Yeah.
So I actually think that I got about, there's 28 spots here that we're talking about. And so maybe everybody should, you know, pick their 5 favorites if they have an interest, if they have a background in it, and think of what they would like to be on. And then we can step through this.
There's definitely a imbalance, I believe, right now, due to Direct Water's not really partaking in any of these. But I think we could go down the list and like we have in past years, and so the chair and a member take volunteers and move down from there.
If I could also highlight that we did with the ad hoc employee housing committee, name an alternate, and staff would recommend that each committee also has an alternate due to the challenges we've had in scheduling committee meetings in the last year.
Okay.
So that's not reflected here because this is a report of current assignments, but that does increase the number of slots available.
All right, so starting with the engineering and construction committee, currently,
You're gonna have a tabulator?
Following up on Director Quady's suggestion. If you pick, let's say everybody wants 5 top positions.
everyone might pick the same ones.
Okay.
They want to have a hat.
The problem is that you want the entire board engaged, right?
Yeah.
Everybody taking shots at, you know, different committees and taking turns or.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to have, you know, more of a, if everybody had kind of a 5 target, then they could actually balance out pretty well. So if you had your 5 favorite picks, this discussion then would be around if there's multiple people interested in that same thing.
I didn't come prepared for that. I didn't found the type that I want.
I did.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. So I'd like to go down one by one. First, engineering and construction committee. I'd right off the bat assume that Director Pacala is interested and Robert is interested in that one.
Yes, I'm interested.
I'm fine with also being there. I don't mind if you have a particular interest, if you want to be chair or member.
It doesn't matter to me, but
Director Quady and
I'm interested in that one also, but I yield.
okay.
Director McMillan.
No interest.
Okay. So
Well, based on our GM's comments, she needs 3 on each one, so we have 3 interests now.
oh, there you go. So I'd recommend Director Robert as he's the current chair, keep him there. Director Pacala, the member, and Director Quady, the alternate.
If somebody was particularly interested, I would yield to giving chair seat as well. But
Don't complicate it.
Are we all, do we all,
I'm a finding chair.
do we all agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that makes Director Robert the chair of the engineering committee, Director Pacala the member, and Director Quady the alternate. Next up is the finance committee. That one goes to Director McMillan as the chair. And the member is currently Director Quady.
No, we don't have it.
It was Director Waters.
Oh, it was Director Waters.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
I am interested in that.
And I think you do a great job. Is anybody else interested in it?
I'm interested in that.
You're interested in it?
I'll be alternate.
Okay. I would select Director Quady as a member and Director Pacala as the alternate on this one. Does the board agree on that?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to Operations and Organization Committee. And I am interested in this one. Is there anybody else interested in this one?
Yes.
I'm interested in it.
Okay. Seeing as I don't have one yet, I'd like to be on it, and I think between Director Pacala and Director Quady, one of you.
Brady, what do you prefer?
For that one, I think that, assume that that's the, is the Water Quality and Water Supply or Operations and Organization Committee?
This is operations.
Yes,
Operations.
yes, I know it's Operations and Organization Committee, but there's a
I think quality would be under Water Supply Committee.
I would put water quality under operations and
Under
organization. I
operations?
did write descriptions.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you did?
let me see what I said. Operations and organization may include studies, emergency planning, operations, treatment facilities, regulatory compliance,
Okay.
staffing, and similar matters.
Well, I would recommend Director Quady for this one since he has such a thorough background in water quality. Would the board be okay with myself as the member, Director Quady as the chair, and Director Pacala as the alternate?
Yes.
sounds good.
That's good. Okay. The Public Engagement, Communication, and Legislative Affairs Committee, currently myself and Director McMillan.
I would still like to be involved with that since that's kind of what I did for 31 years at Met.
And myself, as you can tell from my monthly reporting, I engage with the public quite a bit. But who else would be interested in this one? Okay, looks,
I would be interested as an alternate then.
okay, so Director McMillan, the chair, myself as a member, and Director Quady is the alternate. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the Sponsorship Committee. I am currently the chair of this one, and Director McMillan is the member. Do we have interest in this one?
What does this committee do?
Would you like me?
Yes, please.
So this is actually a fairly recently formed committee. The board last year adopted a sponsorship policy, which is part of our administrative code. And the goal was for the board felt they needed to have a better understanding of the organizations that they were supporting, particularly the ones that were at higher dollar amounts, over $5,000 a year. So the policy includes the formation of a committee. The committee then certifies organizations that are supported at more than $5,000 a year level. And that process involves reviewing their financial documents in detail. Dan probably remembers exactly which ones better than I do. At this point, the board has certified, or the committee certified, the Association of Water Agencies of Ventura County, which is the only organization we've historically supported at that dollar level. So I don't expect the sponsorship committee to be necessarily incredibly active unless we choose to support other organizations at that point.
So we merged this one with, say, like public engagement, communications and legislative affairs.
I think that would require an admin code revision, but that doesn't mean it can't be done, because as we established, the board can change the admin code every meeting if they're so inclined.
We could bring that back, right?
It would probably just be easier to appoint the same people.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
but to me, the sponsorship committee was, other than the long-term engagement that goes down the timeline, it's almost like an ad hoc because it's very
It is.
special.
That's true. So we could certainly bring back, if it's the board's
Also,
preference.
picking it up just because to balance the load. When
There's not much of a load to balance in this case.
the committee meetings.
Okay. I got one volunteer. Anybody else? Jackie, would you like
Sure.
to stand?
Sure,
Okay.
I'll stay on it.
Got Tebow, Chair, Director McMillan as the member, and we have an alternate. If nobody else, I will throw my name in there as alternate. Okay, does the board agree?
That sounds good.
Yes.
So I have clear direction. Does the board wish then to continue to maintain the separate sponsorship committee, or should I return with an admin code modification that assigns these responsibilities to the finance committee moving forward?
If it's easy to leave it and not add additional work, I would say just leave it.
Then we'll leave it.
Agree.
Thank you.
Water supply, storage and partnerships development committee. Currently Director Quady is the chair and we don't have a member. Who would be interested in this one?
I would be interested.
I would also be interested in this one to balance the load, a little bit there. But, seeing as Director Pacala is the alternate on a few of these, I would.
Go ahead.
I would leave it to him. Director Quady, would you like to remain on it?
I would if I could. I'm getting close to number 5, so I better shut up pretty soon.
Are you at 5 already?
No, this would be number 5 if I was involved.
Okay.
I think your 5 calculation didn't account for alternates on all the committees.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm counting alternates too.
Are we load balancing with a curve adjusted for experience?
Just want to open the. Protector.
But yes, would like to be involved with that committee, but I'm going to show up for most of them anyway.
Same. Okay. All right,
So what did we agree on that?
Director Pacala, you could be the chair of this one, I would think. Director, would you be the member? And if nobody else wants to be the alternate, I could be the alternate on this one.
Oh, okay, got it.
The board agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Employee Housing Committee, we just selected this one,
It
2
was
meetings
not
ago.
staff's intent. That information, that is provided for information only. If the staff was not suggesting that we make changes to those assignments at this time.
So I would recommend that one stay the same. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to Aqua JPIA. Director Quady's the member. He's been a great member for a long time and I've been the alternate. I've really enjoyed my time at JPIA and the learning opportunities that I've had from Director Quady. I'd like to keep it the same, but bring it to the board.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that. Does anybody want to be an alternate?
I think I am the alternate.
Oh,
already.
I'm sorry. Do we? Okay, right. Check. This is different.
Yeah. Okay, next one is AWA. I've been the member there for 4 years. Director Robert has been my alternate. I'd like to switch with him. I think he's ready to move up and be the
I don't mind taking
board member.
taking lead on that one.
And I can either be the alternate or move out altogether if somebody else is interested in being the alternate.
Sounds good.
Okay, the board agrees? Thank you, sir. Calleguas LV, Public Finance Authority, that one is decided by the Finance Authority. I'm currently the president. That says I'm the vice president, but we're up for rotation here at our next meeting. So I don't think we need to address this
Nope.
one.
That was provided for information and context.
The next one is the Met member. And who's interested in that one?
Jackie.
Okay.
Okay, Jackie.
That one does need to be accomplished by roll call vote.
Oh,
And Jackie, I'd just like to ask one question. If, is everything okay? Are you able to make meetings okay and
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And with these Zoom functions that we have, it's very rare that to miss a meeting, and I haven't missed any.
Sorry, I'm not adjourning. Drop that. Drop the hammer on accident there. Director McMillan, there's just one thing I'd like to request. And that's the action items. I'd love to see at the board meetings on the report, list of action items and that were taken by Met and how you voted on them. If that's possible.
Sure, on my AB 1, 2, 3, 4 report, I'll provide more detail.
Yeah, just the action items. I'd love to see how we're voting there. And okay, do we have a motion?
yeah, I make a motion.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Director Pacala,
Yes.
Director McMillan,
Absolutely. Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Director Quady,
yes, aye.
Director Avila.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. Congratulations on your election to the Met Board, Director.
Thank you.
Good news, you have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9.
All right, and the last one is the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance.
It's actually not the last one. It spills onto the next page.
Oh, it spills onto the next page. I am currently the alternate. Director Quady is the member. That one gets canceled most of the time. I think I've attended two. Director Quady, would you like to remain on that one?
Actually, I'd be open to somebody who might want to experience it and see what other ideas they might bring because
Looking at
I've been at it for so long.
Director Pacala?
Would you like to attend the VC? Okay.
Okay.
I will.
And is anybody interested in being the alternate? As Jackie's nodding yes, very vigorously.
I could be alternate just for
Okay, Director Quady, alternate, the board agree. All right. Moving down to BCSDA, currently Director Quady is the alternate and Director Robert is,
I just found that out.
I always thought it was Jackie was the alternate.
Yeah.
Because Director McMillan's actually vice president of the chapter.
Sounds like we need to switch this one up. Director Robert, Director McMillan, is this something you both would like to stay on?
I've
Me.
enjoyed attending that one. It is a lot of good information. And I fear for the absence of Ms. Freeman moving forward, but so I think somehow we'll get through it. I'm fine staying on it if someone's particularly interested. I would yield as well.
I'm not interested in it. I do attend as often as I can because I owe them LAFCO updates as a LAFCO representative. But I'll leave that up between the board. Who wants it?
So we're gonna have Director McMillan as the member and you as the voting alternate?
No, I'm not.
You can't vote.
The problem is I have to leave before it gets dark because I have very poor eyesight. And if they're going to have night meetings, I'm going to be bailing really early every time. So that's my main reason for not wanting it, that position.
I would be interested if nobody else is interested.
Okay, I would recommend Robert continue as the voting member and Director Pacala as the alternate. So,
Very good.
is that okay with the board?
Yes.
And Director McMillan continues as the vice chair.
No.
Okay. All right. So the next one makes me very happy. Fox Canyon GMA. I'd like to recommend Director Pacala for that one.
Okay.
Is anybody else actually interested in that one?
Well, and Ian, do you mind talking a little bit about how the process on this one
That we
works?
nominate him for the.
Yeah, because
the
this one,
election.
there's more to it than tonight's decision making.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the process?
Yeah, so on the 30th, so the GMA board is made up of 5 seats. One representative from the Board of Supervisors, one from the cities, one from special districts and mutuals.
From United.
And one from United, and then those 4 choose the 5th representative, which is an agriculture rep. So the special districts and mutuals, each one of those constituency groups gets together and chooses their representative. For the special districts and mutuals, that's happening on the 30th here. So the other special districts and mutuals under FCGMA will be here and decide. So this board would essentially need to decide who they want to propose.
And the board doesn't have to propose anyone.
Propose anyone.
And who would
To nominate as,
who were the voting members that have confirmed that they are attending the vote? Do you know?
there's not been a lot of confirmation. There's a lot of interest, but not a lot of confirmation, but the districts are us, Camarosa, Pleasant Valley County Mutual Water District, no, County Water District, Pleasant Valley County Water District. Zone Mutual, Arrowwood. And
There is one more.
one more, there's Anacapa that's in the legislation that's no longer exists.
I'm trying to find Norm's email.
There's one other,
Alta Mutual.
Alta Mutual, yeah.
I knew it started with A.
Okay. And how many of them went to your doodle poll and selected that date that they could?
Only a few, but I've reached out to a few others, so that's the date we're gonna have it.
Okay.
Usually, I know that Gene West, who's the current chair of the GMA and the president of the Camarosa board, is also interested. But yeah, Calleguas can nominate someone for the board seat and or nominate someone as the alternate.
Or not at all,
When I
as you prefer.
When I was nominated for that one, we both went there as Gene West and myself. And the voting membership selected one as the member and one as the alternate there. So it's not that I don't think we need to nominate them for something in particular. I think that might be decided there.
Okay.
Okay. Have we decided you, Director Pacala, or are you still interested?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion for nomination or
This can be done by consensus.
is anybody else interested?
I'm good. I've got 5 stars here on my paper.
Okay,
I would support you.
So, thank you.
Director Pacala gets our nomination if he accepts.
I'm accepting the nomination. What I understand is when the special districts meet, then one name will go from here and one would come from Camarosa.
So it will, I know that Gene West wants to maintain the chair.
Right.
But there may be others. PV County Water District could put someone up, Alta Zone, they could put someone up.
Then within this water districts, they decide who would be alternate, who would be the.
Primary.
Okay, got it.
This is Fox County. Talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And the last one is,
Last one we don't have to discuss because that's one that's not up at the moment.
yeah, it's LAFCO and it's not decided by us, it's decided by the special districts
And your term runs through 26?
this year, I believe.
Oh,
I
it's
think
this year?
this year's my 3rd year.
Okay, so later in the year, this will be something that will come up for discussion.
Yes.
Okay. If I could, since you've all very efficiently made these decisions, the item I wanted to ask about that's kind of falls under this category and also future agenda items is, we received an email from Aqua JPIA opening nominations for their executive committee. If we have any board members who wish to be considered for the executive committee positions, we would need to nominate them as well as find 3 other agencies to support that nomination. So if that is something that any of our board members are interested in,
I would nominate Director Quade.
I support.
I would also support.
okay, then what we'll do is we'll come back at a future meeting with a nomination resolution, and then Kara and I will also work on identifying other Aqua JPI members who could stand in support. I suspect that would include Las Virgenes,
United.
among United. We've got some connections there, I hear, among others. So, okay, then that'll be a future agenda item.
It's the Andy stationery.
Okay, that was very, very good.
Efficiently done.
Thank you. Board. Very. Okay, do we have item 8, any information items?
No information items this evening.
Closed session.
We do indeed have a closed session. We'll need Ian, Fernando, and Jennifer. For that.
Okay, in that case, I will end the open session and move to closed session.
Okay, Director McMillan, you should have a separate link for closed session.
I do.
Back in open session.
The board met in closed session. Direction was given to staff and no action was taken.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, I'd like to close this meeting and in dedication and remembrance of the great Simi Valley Mayor Brett Thomas. Thank you.